forgot my hat. How can I come live without my hat? Hang on a minute. I have not been live in so many weeks. I've missed you all. I am so excited to be live today. Who knows what today is, witches? I guess not all witches honor. What is going on here? It is in my hat. Not all witches honor Hecate as their patron deity, but I do. Oh, Allie, thank you. I feel a little discombobulated. So who knows what today is? Today is a special day for witches. Marjorie, my beautiful priestess. Thank you. I'm feeling so good, actually. I kind of overdid it going into the retreat. I've been gone. I went to Colorado for my anniversary. Before that, we went to California to see one of my daughters and my father-in-law. And it just ran right into the retreat, and I actually did an interview for CNN. We had our Samhain coven gathering. It was like a month and a half of just nonstop going. Hi, Chelsea from California. Anyway, the nonstop going into retreat and coming home, I just hit a wall. And so I'm super excited to be back. In this lifetime, am really learning to create balance. Spirit always seems to guide me when I'm walking in my purpose. And so I am fully able to show up to do the CNN interview about witchcraft and who witches really are. Was able to show up for the Practical Magic Retreat, which is my dream life. I hope the women receive it as such, because for me, living that way, like, I'm always glad to come home. I miss my husband and my animals, but living that way with other women for a week, with other witches, doing all of the things, like all of the witchcraft, it's amazing. And I've been looking back at the pictures, and it always makes me want to go back. You miss it so much. The connection was and is amazing. Yeah, and we get to do it all over again next fall. Every Samhain we hold a Practical Magic Retreat, and the next retreat coming up is in May. It is the Salem Coven Retreat. Stella, Witch of the Moon, hosts that with me. And we only have one spot left, one bed left for that retreat. So whoever that sister is meant to be, we are going to the witch house. Something they don't commonly allow is private events at the witch house. Actually, they never allow that. And we are being gifted the opportunity to be able to go in and do a ceremony there. So we are completely honored, and we actually feel like the witches that are meant to be there to do that healing work in Salem are being called to that retreat. And so we are really, of course, we're letting everyone know that the spaces are available, but we are allowing the house to choose who wants to come there energetically, and Salem. But there is this feeling of it's the witch house that's calling us back. So I can't wait to. I'm so excited. I'm so thankful. I've been given the gift in this life to be able to host these retreats. They're different than any other retreat, because I think when you think retreat, you think rest, relaxation, and you do get a little time to yourself every day, but these are immersives. So we are 100% like immersed. We never leave each other. We ask the women to not leave the space. We go everywhere together. We are in ceremony, ritual, spell work all day long, every day. Will you be having those necklaces back in stock? So these necklaces and this dress are from Killstar. My necklace is an antique, and the only other one like it out there, my sister Stella has it. So you can't get this one, but these are available on Killstar. Please let them know that an influencer guided you there, and tell them my name, because I would love to get something going with them. I love their clothing and everything, so please let them know that it's me sending you if you go there. But I do believe they have these necklaces all the time, and I love their clothes. I have this dress in every color. So back to today. So for witches that honor deities, and as witches, we all honor deities differently, but all witches are pagan. Now, in modern days, we're seeing many different people saying they are witches, which, is actually heartbreaking to me, because through the popularity of the witch, we're losing the potency and actually what it means to be a witch. Now, I'm grateful, I love seeing women use the archetype because it makes them feel strong and empowered. However, to say you are a Christian witch or a Mormon witch, to me, that cannot be, because witches were traditionally pagan, meaning when I say pagan, I don't mean what pagan means in modern days. I mean pagan what it really means is referring to a period of time before the conversion of pagan Europe into Christianity. And so yes, all women were accused of being witches during that time, but that doesn't mean they were witches. And I do believe witches survived, and the pagan folklore survived. And so the witches that are actually Wiccan or solitary witches that are rooted in that Wiccan history are preserving the craft, and the real witches walking the true path of the witch. So those witches, they are honoring usually the old gods and goddesses. Now, for myself, I have a lot of trauma, religious trauma in my background, sexual trauma from men, and so I don't honor the gods, to be completely transparent, but most witches do. I personally only honor the deities that are female, and I'm very careful the stories I share of them, because a lot of them have trauma. And how I honor deities is I see them as archetype images that exist within me. I do believe a lot of these deities actually lived before we lived, and some of them didn't. I do believe some of them are just purely myth. And the thing about that is that in the old days, in the days of paganism, they used storytelling as a way to teach the people. When you think about them not having TV and not even having books in the old times. And so they would sit around the fires at these seasonal shifts, like we call them Samhain, Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Letha, Lunasaw, and Mabon. And it was fall equinox, spring equinox, winter solstice, summer solstice, and these cross quarter points in between. And they followed the wheel of the year and these dates because they were following the journey of the sun throughout the year, because it meant life or death for the people. And during the colder months, and it was really common, so that would be in the northern hemisphere where I am right now, not in the southern hemisphere, they would sit around the fires in the evening and in the early mornings, and storytelling was actually very common. And the stories were always brought forward about these gods and goddesses, these deities, and they used them to teach the people how to live in a good way. Now, as a modern witch in the modern world, I see these deities as some of them, again, that lived. And I also don't believe that all the gods, deities that we have history of have been portrayed correctly in our modern world. History has been manipulated again and again. And so some of these deities that I honor would be seen to most modern day people as some of them are Christian deities. So I work with Mother Mary at times, and Mary Magdalene. I don't really work with Jesus, but I do have, I would feel like I know his story, let's put it that way. But these other two, Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, they are commonly seen as Christian deities. I don't consider them Christian deities or even Christian, like owned by the Christians. I believe the Christians have taken them the same way they have taken the pagans' holidays, and they have twisted them and turned them and made them into their narrative, which is a patriarchal narrative to control the planet. So I honor, some of the deities you'll hear me talking about are Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. Now, Mary Magdalene was an easy one for me to work with. I always was drawn to her. I was never connected to the church I was raised in. I always felt like I was the bad girl. So Mary Magdalene kind of portrayed that for me in the way I was raised. And so I connected with her. Mother Mary, on the other hand, and it was hard for me to develop a relationship with her, but I actually see her as having gone to the temples of Isis and studied with Mary Magdalene and Jesus. And so I actually honor their path as witches. I do not honor Jesus as a savior in any way. The only God I work with is, I would say, the sun, which is, it's not an actual element, but it's a planet that gives life force here on Earth. Without the sun, we would all die, right? And so that's the only God I honor. Actually, in Florence and the Machine's new album, she has a song called Sympathy Magic. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it, but listen to the words. Like, put the words on so you can actually read the words. Now, I don't know what she meant by this song, but my religious trauma, actually, I really connected to that song from my past religious trauma. Like, it talks about, there's this one part of the song that says, the only God I know, or the light shining through my window, touching my fingertips, and the wind blowing through my hair is the only God I know. And actually, I was driving down the road when I heard this, and it brought me to tears, because I realized in that moment, I always say, I don't honor the male deities. And I thought that spoke so much truth to me, because through our history, I have to work with my relationship with the masculine and not completely shutting them out, and not being a full-on, wit hag to them, because I have had so much trauma there. I realize I have a bit of a bias, and not all men are bad. I'm married to a man. I realize not all men are bad, and men can change, and men can be supportive and wonderful, but I don't honor them in my practice of the craft. But driving down the road, hearing Florence sing those words, like the light shining through my window, hitting my fingertips, and the wind blowing through my hair is the only God I know. And I just felt that in my very being, because I have developed a relationship with the sun, with the earth, and that is the only God I need. And then she goes on to say, and that God does not require me to be on my knees, and my virtues did not keep me safe. And I just felt like those words were so powerful. When it comes to music, the words have to capture me. And the words of that song I felt them in my soul. So I'm like driving down the road crying, and I'm like, that is the only God I know, is the sun. And yeah, it just felt so resonant to me. And like I said, I don't really know if that, oh, hi, Victoria. You heard that song too. Like, I'm such a words person when it comes to songs. Like, and Ray Wild loves it. Yay, I'm glad you guys are listening to the words. And I wonder, I haven't had time to look it up. Like, is she speaking about living in a patriarchal world? Is she speaking of religion when she says, like, my virtues didn't keep me safe? And, you know, this God doesn't want me on my knees to be worthy. And it just, like, it almost brings me to tears right now just talking about it, because the lyrics are so powerful. Oh yes, mouthy witch. I should know all the witches are listening and hearing the same thing I am. Good afternoon, Familia 3. It was so powerful, so moving to me, because like, I feel like the real witches that's the difference between us. And like, really honestly, I have friends that are Christian. It's not that I'm like out here Christian hating, but honestly, like the Christians that attack me on my social media, I should hate the Christians. I hate the Christian religion, to be honest. But I don't hate Christians, because I realize I was raised in a religion, like, and I believe people that are in the church are working shit out. They're trying to figure it out. But you know, losing my religion, let's put it that way, losing my religion allowed me to start healing my physical body, and learning that my physical body was a safe place to be. And actually what that interpreted into for me was I had to have a relationship with the earth. My relationship with the earth and the outdoors and the sun. The only thing I can say my entire life, I loved the night sky. I did not like the day sky. I did not like, you know, I wasn't a camper or an outdoor girl. But, you know, I realized as I really began to dive deep into my own witchcraft journey, when I was 28, when I left the Mormon church, and, you know, I was a witch my whole life, but I never like embraced that archetype. I was, you know, raised in this church with the family in the background, like knowing that we were witches. We joke about it, but only amongst ourselves. And I'm a bloodline witch through my great grandmother, through my mother's side. She's the one that let us know that. Now, that doesn't make me any more of a witch or more important than people that don't know, because I believe had my grandmother not told me that right before she passed away, I wouldn't know that. And so, and it's because of fear, you know, she told me not to talk to anybody about what she was telling me. And so I believe a lot of us have the bloodline witch in us. It's just our grandmothers wanted to keep us safe. So even if we have that in our bloodline, we wouldn't know it because they were trying to keep us safe. Anyway, back to what today is. So all of this to talk about deities, right? Because the real witches are working with deities. Whether you see them as actual people or archetype images, I see them as both. And depending on who they are, but one of, if not the patron deity I work with is Hecate. I hate to give any of them that pedestal that they're the most important, but I really do feel my path and who I am as a person really embodied by her. But the reason why I work with the deities in this way as archetypes that exist within me is because I believe in modern days our path as witches is less about spell work and doing spell work for people and more about teaching people to heal, teaching people to connect to the earth, and teaching people to do this work for themselves because we are sovereign beings. And so that is why my work is more of a teacher and a guide, and you're not seeing like on my apothecary online like a ton of like spells. Every now and then I'll put a spell jar on there, but I don't do spell work for people. And that's because I am here to teach you, you are a sovereign being. You have the power within you to do the spells yourself. But a lot of what we're actually needing in modern days is the healing work, is the ability to go deep, to go into the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, to work through what's been programmed in our DNA. And the deity for me that helps me do that is Hecate. Everyone says her name different. That's up for debate, whether you say Hecate, Hecate, I say Hecate. Her name is even spelled different. Sometimes it's spelled with a C, sometimes it's spelled with a K, but she, to me, is mother of witches. She is the one that holds the keys in between the worlds. She holds the keys at the crossroads of our lives. She is that part of us, that divine, all of us have the divine within us. I consider my source or creator, if there has to be, a being or something that created us, I call that divine feminine. I honor the divine feminine aspect of that. And I feel like Hecate really is one of those deities that is humanity, putting a face, a persona on what divinity looks like, on who birthed us, what they look like. I see that also in Isis, really, really clearly in Isis. I know a lot of people see it in, I blanked on her name. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about her, I guess, if I can't think of her name. Anyway, Isis, also has been intertwined. It's said that Hecate actually may be Isis, and that's why Isis is known as she of 10,000 names. But these deities, I believe, we hung on through time, through these female deities. We've got like the different Bridgets that the church turned into saints. Like, was this humanity trying to put a face on what divinity looked like? And yet maybe as the world was changing and patriarchy was taking over, they tried to really save or preserve in some way that divine mother archetype through these female deities and their stories. And this dress came from Killstar, by the way. Thank you. Please let them know I sent you if you order it. And so when we connect with these deities as archetypes, it actually is so healing to us. Because as women, we've always connected to the stories in our DNA anyway that we've been connected to is the story of Eve, right? Not even the story of Lilith, but the story of Eve, where we are the original sin, where we are the original problem, where we are meant to be second-class citizens, where we as women are never enough. We're meant to be subservient and we're meant to be less than. And our churches reiterate that. And so by honoring these deities, these powerful deities that so beautifully embody that divine mother as the goddess of all life. Like, so often when I say that, people will go in the comments and they're like, what goddess? What are you talking about? And it's like, when you say God, Do you have to connect it to what God? No, people don't say that because it is programmed in their being that there is one God that is the creator of all life. My husband and I were talking about this morning because I often say the male is actually a different energy than the female energy, only because of our body types and the different energetic pull. And I'll say the man is the seed. And I actually realized as I was talking this morning, I was like, the male aspect of the creation of human beings is not even the archetype of the seed. It is the fertilizer, which is necessary, right? But the woman holds actually the seed and the actual potential of life-giving energy. And so I'm going to change my languaging around that because the masculine carries the fertilizer. And that's why I say the divine feminine, being born a woman, even if you're, I'm not talking about gender identification. I'm talking about body parts and energetic pull, is that women have a magic, or people that are born with a uterus, let's put it that way. We have a different energetic pull that makes all women magical. This does not make all women witches, but it does make us magical in the essence of we are creation. And when we look, we have such a mixed up, like patriarchy has got us so mixed up in our head that God is this, we don't question what God when somebody says God, source, creator, right? And a lot of my stuff, I'll say God, goddess, whatever you consider your creator, creatrix. And people are like, what goddess? And it's like, does there have to be a goddess? Like, does it have to be Hecate? Does it have to be Mary Magdalene? Does it have to be Athena? No. What if humanity looked at their creator, creatrix as goddess with no deity behind it? Like, that is what I am tuning into in this lifetime. And honestly, I actually believe our creator, whatever that is, may likely be genderless, honestly. But in this lifetime, I am honoring the divine feminine aspect of creator, of source, let's put it that way, of source, because the first half of my life, or the first 28 years of my life, I had patriarchy and a male god that seen women as less than bang down my throat, made me believe I was unworthy and not enough and not pure and not holy. And that is what the problem with patriarchy is it is pushing down, it is oppressing the magic of the feminine, of women in this lifetime. Like, you have the same energetic pull within you, powerful, that was powerful enough to create this entire universe. So of course, if the masculine patriarchal consciousness is wanting to take over the world, they are going to have to demonize and oppress the bodies on this earth that actually carry that same potential of creation in your physical body. Think of that. Unhealed, we can't even begin to tap into the magic, the potential that we have as women, because it's in our DNA, the story of Eve, the story of unworthiness, the story of not being enough. So, I invite you all to really contemplate that, because even the modern day push and the pull towards everyone wanting to be a witch, like, if you're calling yourself a Christian witch or a Mormon witch or Lutheran witch or whatever you're calling it, you are diminishing that power, because those religions believe God created this earth. The magic, the root of witchcraft is goddess worship. And that is because if we each play our role as goddess given, source given inherent abilities, We are magical, but unhealed, we are not magical. So this is why I won't do spell work for people, because you have the magic in you to create the life you want. The magic, you know, and I always will define it with a CK, because magic with a C, I just see someone pulling a rabbit out of a hat. People even fight me on the magic with a CK thing. Yes, it was pushed forward by the occult, but there was a reason why it was. We need to differentiate tricking people and actually empowerment. And that is what I am about, is about these deities that actually we all, whether you're a man, a woman, or you don't identify as either, whatever you identify as, these archetypes, these deity archetypes exist within you. When you call them forward to help you, they are surrounding you. Their energy is multidimensional, so they can be there for me, you, and everyone else at the same time. And because of that, it's like our higher, not even our higher self, our soul and our oversoul is orchestrating this connection with this empowered aspect of itself. So, you know, I cast a circle when I come live every week. In this circle, I call forth these powerful deities. I call forth Hecate, Brigid, Isis, Rhiannon, Anya, Mary Magdalene, Caradwyn, Aradia. I call them forth and they surround me, but it's not, you know, if you look up images of these deities, you're not going to find one picture. The only one you will see the same image every time of is Mary Magdalene. However, I believe that's because my higher self embodiment of Hecate looks somewhat like Harmony. My higher self embodiment that honors Brigid looks as a Harmony that embodies Brigid. Does that make sense? So we're calling these aspects of ourself, but also of divinity and creator, and asking them to surround us. And when they surround us, we are whole, we are powerful, we are unstoppable, no matter what your gender is. And women, we have been oppressed for a reason, because our power has the potential to change the trajectory of this planet, of the age of Aquarius, the bridge that we are on right now. What way will humanity go? Are we going to lose our connection to the earth? Or are we going to hang on to our connection to the earth? Are we going to be the connection to the earth? You don't practice witchcraft during certain holidays or certain days, like today's considered Dipnon, Hecate's feast. This is what I've been asking you all along. Do you know what today is? But this isn't the only day you're a witch. When you are a real witch, your craft, your magic is embodied in your everyday life. Healing as a human on the earth right now in 2026 is essential. This is the magic we need. Unless your spell jars and your spells are about that healing, full embodiment, you're going in the wrong direction. If you're not doing shadow work, you're not going to have potential from your spell work. The healing for us as humans in this day and age who've been born at this time, our role as witches is healing. Because even if you never have a child after you heal, we are feeding and healing the energetic thread between humanity. It doesn't matter how many people you change or convert. We aren't here to convert anyone. Just us changing feeds the thread of change. And that is why it's so important to continue the healing path, to continue acknowledging your pain, to continue to just walk your own path. Witchcraft will never ask you to convert anyone. I am not here to convert anyone. I am here to be that embodiment of Hecate, to say, hey, I am a torch, a light, a beacon in this darkness of social media, saying, hey, other witches, I am here. I'm carrying this light as a reminder to remind you of who you are, not to get you to follow me, not to get you to follow any deity or God, but to show you what it looks like to embody that healing in this day and age. Because the old age of gurus and priests that are this personification of perfection is not going to heal us. It is our ability to show up a mess, but also in our power. I'm not perfect. I am not perfect by any means. And I return to my healing path again and again. And I'm more than willing to share that when I'm going through something. And I'm more than willing to show up and be like, hey, this is what I believe. It might change in a month from now, it might change from a year from now, because I'm healing. But guess what? I'm solid enough in where I am at and how long I've been on this path that I know that I'm on the right path. And the witches that you see embodying witchcraft and then returning to Christianity out of fear, they've fallen off the wagon. They got on the wrong, and I hate to call anything wrong, because I believe all paths lead us to where we're supposed to go, but we don't always heal what we're meant to heal karmically in this lifetime, and we don't always do all of what our soul planned for us in this lifetime, but we can try to, right? And I can see that, these witches that are like, I'm a witch. Just kidding, I'm not. I'm returning to God because my life is crap. Like, your life isn't crap because you practice witchcraft. It's because the witchcraft, that bus that you were on, did not teach you that to create the life of your dreams, the magic of your dreams, requires shadow work. It requires healing. And just because you have to come back to that healing again and again does not mean you're on the wrong or the right path. Not everyone has to be a witch. As long as we as the human race are healing, that is what's important. Because when we heal, we are feeding this invisible thread, this red thread, the golden thread, the clear, whatever thread you call it. There is an energetic thread between humanity. And when enough of us are healing, when enough of us are sovereign, the entire trajectory of this planet changes, because religion, at least the way that it is now, I would love to see all religion fall, but maybe it doesn't fall. Maybe it just reworks itself and they don't have a savior, because you can't have a savior and be sovereign. And that's why in witchcraft, it doesn't make sense that you say you're a Christian witch, because witches are sovereign and they're pagan in its origin. And so as an identification, Christianity across the board needs to say, like, as Christians, we do not need a savior for that to change. But our government will need to change. Our government structures will need to change. But I believe that will happen, right? That will happen as we as a collective heal and change. So, I originally planned, I always just let spirit just guide me and I just start speaking. But today I had Dipnon on my mind, which is Greek supper, Hecate's Greek supper. Usually on the dark moon in history, they honored Hecate with a feast or a supper on every dark moon. In modern days, we celebrate her through that feast on November 16th. So that's tonight. And honoring her on this night honors our own path of healing, our own path of shedding the old and releasing. If you've ever done a Chernips ritual, tonight would be the night to do that. honoring Hecate by creating a feast of foods. You know, traditionally that's like eggs, wine, garlic, fish. I'm vegan, so I don't do fish. But those things are made as a supper, not for you, but for her. And you leave it at a crossroads or at a threshold in honor of her, and you do some sort of cleansing ritual of release. Again, you can do this on every dark moon, but in modern days, witches have chosen the November 16th, and this year we are coming into the darkness of the moon on this date. We're working our way towards the new moon in Scorpio. So right now we are being supported, and we're in that time of year, right? We are in the collapse of the light. The sun is getting lower and lower every day until Yule, winter solstice. And so we are in a continuous process until Yule of shedding the past, of shedding the old. The planets are supporting us in that. Everything is supporting us in that. And you know, there's so much misinformation out there right now in spirituality and confusion in spirituality. And I've actually had serious talks recently with people I work with, and I never will put myself above anyone, but the information level and frequency that we are on spiritually sometimes does need to change. And right now, I really want people to understand that the all light, all love, only focus on the good is toxic spirituality. It is bypassing the darkness that exists on our planet right now. And just because you have rage and anger and at the injustice that is happening on this planet does not make you full of hate, as long as it is not consuming your life. So how do we know it's not consuming our life? If you are not watching the news 100% of the time, if every conversation you have is not about politics and what's going on in the world, like if you can't stop talking about that or watching that or feeling depressed, then if you can't, then you know you're immersed. You went headfirst into the dark. And that's not what this life is about. It's not how we heal during this time. What we have to be able to do is find balance. We have to be able to witness the injustice, witness the crap that is going on this planet, but not become it. And we do that by focusing on ourselves. There was someone I heard say this a while ago, and I've been living by that, is watching the world around us as if you're looking at it in your backyard outside your window. And I'm trying to think who I heard say that. Anyway, but I've been living as like that in these modern days because I am so sensitive. At times, if I start to watch anything too much, it can take me down into depression. And a lot of people will spiritually bypass the BS that's happening on our planet by being like, you just have to focus on light, on love, and that's all. Don't look at it. Pretend it's not happening. And that is not going to fix anything. Pretending it is not happening is not fixing anything. We have to be enraged at injustice. Your anger is allowed. And I don't want you to become that anger. I don't want you to become the sadness, but to be enraged by what is happening on our planet, by the evil we are seeing personified on this planet by humanity. It is okay to be enraged by that, as long as you are not becoming that. Now, how do you use that rage without becoming it? Is you use that rage, that fire, as the fire of transformation, the fire that propels you forward in your purpose, your spiritual purpose. So you take that rage and you channel it into something that is making this world a better place. And that is healing, right? But if we suppress, if someone says to you, like one of these people I work with said to me, you have so much hate in your heart, Harmony. And I was like, do you really see me as someone that has so much hate in my heart because I can talk with rage and anger about the fucking shit that is going on this planet, that is not hate in my heart. I can hate something and not be that hate. Does that make sense? This is where like understanding forgiveness in a different light than making whatever that person did to you, the perpetrator did to you, okay. It's not okay. It is not okay what the leaders on our planet are doing. It is not okay. And it is okay to be pissed about it. It is okay to be angry about it. And that does not make you full of hate. Because why I am not full of hate is because I use that to fuel me to sit here and go live every Sunday and talk to you when I could be out doing something with my husband. I use it to fuel me to continue putting all my efforts into retreats and healing work in my classes. It is the fire that is in me that gives me the momentum to create in this world. So the importance here is to not allow that rage to become every aspect of your life. Do not let the sadness, the grief of what is in you, the sadness, grief, use that as the catalyst, the break in your heart that is letting your heart actually expand. Feel the sadness. And then continue to allow that fire to move you forward of the rage. You can be both sad and enraged and also happy and thankful and joyful. We are learning to be codependent. We are learning, sorry, I just said that completely backwards. We are learning to be sovereign in a codependent world. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be fucked up. But I will never, ever accept that my heart is full of hate because I'm enraged at what is happening on our planet right now. And you are not full of hate either. To be able to experience the anger and the sadness, to be enraged at the things you see are happening, but also let it bring you to your knees and to cry for humanity. And then at the same time say, thank you for my life. I pray for more life. Prayer doesn't belong to Christians. The pagans originally prayed to the gods for what they needed. Call it incantation, call it what you want, but I will call to whatever that divine mother, to me, my source is divine mother, goddess. I will call to her and pray for more life every day of my life, no matter how fucked up it is on this planet, because the suffering will never end if those of us that cannot be all of it, the light, the dark, all of it, cannot show up and keep walking the path and reminding people to heal, and that there is wisdom in those old ways. But there's also things from the old ways that we need to like throw out, that we need to get rid of. And there are witches out there, both male and female and non-gender witches out there that are showing up as that. I see them. I see the witches that are out there saying, hey, I've got this wisdom. Listen to me. Not everything you're seeing in the witchcraft community is accurate. And so look through the veils of illusion to find the people that are sharing a potent message of healing, of change on this planet. My kitty Roxy, I don't know if you guys can hear her. She's laying at my feet. She's very sick. She has lymphoma, but her new place in my house has become my witch room. And I find that so special. I've got a piece of deer skin over here that was given to me by a Native American friend. And she started laying on that, and she just loves it. And I'm gonna have to get up and let her out because the door's shut in here. So I'll be right back. Don't leave. You wanna go out? Go on out. We have a storm rolling in here, and the light in the window here is like, it goes light, dark, light, dark. I'm like sweating one moment and then find the next moment. Oh, yes, please tap your screen, you guys. I just get to talking and sharing, and I never tell anyone to like the live, do all the things, but thank you for being here. And you know, if you have any questions about witchcraft, go ahead and ask. Like I said, today is, I think you say it Dipnon, Hecate's night, Hecate's feast, Hecate's supper, whatever you call it. So for me, this is a day of ritual release and cleansing and purging the old, and also remembering that Hecate, as mother of witches, keeper of the crossroads, you know, she's seen there with her dogs, with ravens, with owls, with wings. You know, she comes to us in dreams. Hecate is so known for coming to us in dreams to give us signs. And if we are honoring her on these days and every day in our life, we will receive those signs from her. You know, and some of the times where I've been creating classes around her and stuff, it's incredible the things that have happened, even like black cats running across the road in front of my car, like just things that would not normally happen. There is, you know, these deities and archetypes that I do believe existed on our planet, but you know, we don't have a lot of these, you know, temples on our planet. Isis is one that we have temples in Egypt around, right? But Hecate also has temples in Turkey. And so I just find these deities, like there's a lot we can learn from them. So do you guys have any questions for me? I have just been going and going and going. Like any questions around what I've been sharing? Kind of been telling the story of why I do what I do as a witch. You know, most of the time on my posts, you just see images of me with the women at the retreats. I really want to get to putting more video posts up of me sharing and talking. It's funny because I have no problem talking. I get on my live and I talk. In the past, I have had issues with that though. And for some reason, putting those videos where it's just me sitting here and I'm like, hey, witches, guess what? You know, and I guess that's because it's opening a door that you're not shutting. And so just even with my posts of us at retreat doing different ceremonies and rituals, I'm constantly opening up my energetic field to everybody else's opinion, which I'm open to everybody else's opinion. I'm open to learning from other witches. Like, I do not consider myself the queen of all the witches and the know-all, be-all. I have a lot of wisdom. I am 50 years old. I've been on this path practicing witchcraft since I was 14, 15 years old. Known I'm a witch since I was 5 is my earliest memory. At 15, that was, you know, solidified that I was a bloodline witch from my great grandmother. And at 28, I was raised in the Mormon church. At 28, I realized like, oh, I get to choose. But I was being a Jack Mormon from the time I was 18 to 28 and just going back and forth and back and forth. And then one day I realized I don't have to do this. I can blow up my entire fucking life. And that's what I did. I divorced my husband, who I married at 17. My parents signed me away to him. And I had wanted them to, like I thought I was doing what was right, but actually when I went to walk down the aisle, I froze and was like, in my head, I was like, oh no, what am I doing? But I was already there in the dress walking down the aisle. I couldn't stop it. And, you know, continued to live this life with this church that, you know, I constantly struggled with the trauma of my past, and that being my fault and me being unworthy and things happening bad in my life because of that. So I would bounce back and forth from like being a church person to not being a church person. So the full-fledged path of the witch came at 28 when I blew up my life, divorced my husband, left the Mormon religion. I started going to a bunch of different churches and trying to find which one I believed was true, to find out I didn't believe any of them was true. And I told the man I'm married to now, I said, and he's an atheist basically. So he calls himself nothing, but he was the guy that was like, when I'm dead, I'm in the dirt and that's it. And, you know, he fell in love with this woman that is spiritual and connected to all things. And, you know, now he says he believes maybe we're not dead in the dirt, but he also does not believe in God. So, we ended up together. We healed together and became the people we are. I'm a different person. Like, you wouldn't even recognize me. I was 100 pounds heavier all throughout my 20s. And I began healing at 28, and it was something I just had to stick with. I could not look away. And so I told him at that time, like, I don't believe in any of these churches. It was actually, we were at this church, this non-denominational church, and they put up the bumper sticker coexist, and he said, this is the most popular bumper sticker on the planet. What do you think about that? And everybody's like, amen, like it's a good thing. And he's like, no, this is not good. You see the T up there? It represents Christians. Everyone needs to be Christian. And my husband, he leans over and he's like, we're not coming back, are we? And I was like, no, we're not coming back. So the only other time I've been in a church since that happened was, you know, if I were to be there for a funeral or wedding or support someone in something like that. And so that was around when I was 28. So 23 years ago. Is that math right? Yeah, I'm 50, 22 years ago. I told him, I think I'm going to be a witch. And he's like, great. I really don't know what that means, but cool. And I was like, well, I want to buy all this stuff to get started on my path. And he was like, go for it. So I bought myself my Besom Luna. She's at my front door. And a wand and a cauldron. I think those were the first 3 items and a chalice I bought, and you know, just started reading everything I could get my hands on, because when I was in high school, that's how I started practicing witchcraft, and I started practicing actually cursing and hexing first, but I found it through books in the library. You know, I didn't do that stuff in my house because I would have gotten in trouble for it, but we did it at my friend's house, and, you know, set her dresser on fire, casting my first curse. And I'm not someone who curses or hexes very easily. I really do. A lot of witches out there talk about not vibing with the law of 3, and I kind of just giggle because I'm like, you know what? The law of 3 is just the law of attraction. You guys get so dang literal with things that I'm like, I should probably do a post on that, because I know I'm not the only one out there who's a witch who thinks this. Like, they're like, I don't vibe with that. And it's like, the law of 3 doesn't mean you can't curse. It doesn't mean you can't hex. Hopefully, it means that you do everything you can before you get to that point. The law of attraction is real. Like energy attracts like energy, you guys. So the law of 3, like, people will fight me on that and say, well, why threefold? Well, I've been taught threefold. I've been taught tenfold. The whole concept of it energetically magnifying, getting larger as you put it out, comes from your intent. And you don't know how strong your intent is. So when you're doing a curse, there's an energetic frequency around that curse, but your intent is going to magnify it either times 3, times 10, times 100, depending on how much fire you got behind it. And what the intent is for you doing that determines how you bring that back to you. So the reason I say that we need to curse, the difference between, in my practice, the difference between a curse and a hex is a boundary, is an energetic, like, no, I will bind you. And the curse is, I will wish you ill will to stop you because the binding didn't work. To put it short, I actually have a class on this, which I never thought I would do, because I would always bypass this by just saying I do not curse or hex, because I did not feel adept enough at the time to be able to explain how to be in a place where you could hex or curse. And now I realize, like, people are healing, and I share to the best of my ability, and so I hold no energetic responsibility if somebody does the wrong thing with the information I give them, as long as I give it to the best of my ability to be authentic in the craft. And I believe when a hex or a curse is for protection, self-preservation, what you are returning to you threefold or tenfold or whatever it is you believe. Maybe it's a complete perfect energetic match from the original curse or spell. But if it's for because you love yourself enough that you don't want to allow someone to harm you, then you are bringing self-love into you times 3, if that makes sense. And you're bringing protection times 3 or times 10. So, you know, there's a lot more to the craft than just these little phrases that people get hooked to, and they are like, not everyone's Wiccan, not all witches are Wiccan. And I'm like, fine, you're not a freaking Wiccan. But there is the law of the universe, and the law of the universe is like energy attracts like energy. So, I don't know what got me on that wavelength, but no, Jesus did not die for my sins. It's great that you're coming on here though and wanting to like learn more about the witch. So I would encourage you not to preach or spam in the comments, because I am here to share with witches. And if you want to learn about witchcraft, you can stay here and find what witches really believe. But my comment section is not for your proselytizing, and my moderators are fiercely protective and will block your ass. So if you're here to listen and to learn, to know who witches are, like, I'm not trying to change you into a witch. Please don't comment in my feed. I'm gonna have to shut these blinds real quick because I'm getting blinded a little bit. Okay, what do I use a chalice for is the question. I know I have 3 chalices actually sitting in front of me. This is one of them. Isn't she pretty? This is another one. And this is another one. So I use these in ceremony and ritual. I see the chalice as the womb of the Earth Mother. And hi, Betty Jo and Jenna. And I already said hi to Marjorie. Marjorie is my priestess of my coven. She's like my right-hand witch. I'm not sure who else is on here. I think I might have seen Sarah. But just want to say hi, give a shout out to all of my coven members. I have a virtual coven and we're doing it really good, I feel like. Hi, Crunchy Witch. Max Joy is usually on here. But hello to all of you if I haven't said hi. So back to the chalice. Chalices are usually used in representation of that energy of the womb, of holding something. And so a way that I use it personally in ritual is I really have a thing, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this word, poisonous. Am I allowed to say that? I'm trying to be really careful because I've been like, there's so many people reporting my account, Christians. So I'm trying to be careful, but I work with those type of, let's call them baneful herbs. I'll call them the baneful herbs. So I really have a connection to the baneful herbs more than the typical herbs that a lot of witches use. Like, I use all those, but my deep connection is to those baneful herbs. So a lot of times in ritual, I will take a dried flower and soak it in, or part of the berry in the water of that plant that would be considered toxic, right? But if you put it in water, not hot water like a tea, but I just put it in the water, and this is just one way I use the chalice. And it's almost like telling my consciousness and source that I want to work with this plant spirit. And so I'll put like, gosh, I just don't know what words I'm allowed to say, belladonna berries in the water. And these are poisonous on all levels, you guys. So, don't do this unless you know what you're doing. But I use that and I'll drink it with it in the water. I don't leave them sitting in there. I don't steep them. I don't decoct them. I just put them in the water and use it as part of my different rituals to let the plant spirit know I want to work with it. And that, because with those baneful herbs, being toxic for humans, you're usually not ingesting them in any way. And so that's one way that I personally use my chalice on an everyday basis. Now, you can also use that chalice and put like blue lotus tea in it to work with that plant spirit, or you use it to put wine in for an offering to the deity you're working with. There's several ways. Usually the chalice is used in ceremony and ritual. I really love ceremony. I always let everyone know, like, I don't consider what I do high magic, but I am a ceremonialist. And the reason I don't consider it high magic is because I know there are exact details on a lot of the ceremonies that people do, like word for word, that those high magic people do. And I don't follow those. I like to write my own stuff, things that resonate with my heart and soul. And so the ritual and ceremony, I started with ritual and ceremony. I started when I was 28 by going in my backyard and drawing down the moon every full moon, and which turned into every phase of the moon, because I was like, well, what does it feel to draw down the dark of the moon? What does it feel, which isn't traditional. But I have this endless curiosity in me that wants to understand and learn more. And so that's what I follow in my craft, I learned from a lot of books, from Silver Raven Wolf, Starhawk recordings and books. Those were my two go-tos in the 90s. That's how I use my chalice on an everyday basis. It sits on my inner child. They sit on my inner child altar. 3 of them do. Just showing the different aspects. Those 3 chalices for me are the Maiden Mother Crone energy that exist within me. I am all of those. Like, we've separated those archetypes so much that we as women are having struggle being in our wholeness. And I believe the maiden aspect, the mother aspect, and the crone aspect, they're all a part of us. Awaken, some of their strengths are awakened at different times, but we are all of them, especially the inner child. And that's a huge part of the healing work that I personally work with. So any other questions? I was not always this calm. I was told when I was a child I was a little wild, and I was a little wild like in high school. There was an aspect of me though when I was younger that was very introverted. I was not the popular girl at school, especially in like elementary school and junior high, I sat alone a lot at the lunch table. That was a hard thing for me. And even in high school, like if my one friend wasn't there, I always was terrified, like who would I sit with, and then, when I got married at 17, I dropped out of high school and I gained a lot of weight. Like I wasn't who I am now. Like people now tell me like they can't imagine me being that, but that's who created who I am now. I believe I gained all that weight because I wasn't taught to heal anything. I was taught to repress it, to push it down, that it wasn't truth. My truth wasn't truth, that I was always the problem. And my body built layers of armor through the weight I gained to protect me, and food became my emotional support and crutch. And I had to go into the darkness, and my family was not a support to me to heal those things. My mother actually, she believes some of the things I told her are true, but one of the things I told her was about her brother, and so she completely started calling me a liar. We haven't talked in 5 years. Our relationship was very toxic, but healing that meant reclaiming my truth and not caring what anyone else said, and working with all the ways that came into my life. How did I stop eating? It wasn't just that I one day stopped eating, it was that I started healing, and then I didn't have the need to eat so much, if that makes sense. So I learned different tools when I would become stressed or have anxiety, and so I didn't need the food as the crutch. I also was a cutter, and so cutting went into my 30s. The early 30s, I was my Saturn return, everybody goes through a Saturn return at 28, and mine was intense and definitely went till I was 33, like releasing and shedding all those coping mechanisms that I took on to be able to make it through life. And I used to a lot of times sit there and think to myself, the bathroom or the closet was my place to go cry a lot, to get away from life. And I would ask myself, like, how many things can happen to one person? Like, what did I do that was so bad to deserve all these things? And now on the other side of it, I don't look at it that way. I don't see it as I did anything wrong to have had experienced those things. Like, yeah, maybe there was karma playing out from other lives, but it wasn't harmony in this life that had done anything wrong to have experienced all those things. I believe that in this life, I chose to come to be who I am, a guiding witch light in these modern days for other witches and women who have gone through similar trauma that I have. And because I experienced all of these different things, I would be able to then heal from those things and show up as this, like, not that I'm amazing, but a phoenix that rose from the ashes of her pain and her grief. And that you don't have to be, when I see someone that is overweight, I see pain. I see a life of emotional, energetic pain that got pushed down. When I see kids and teenagers cutting themselves, I see them looking for an outlet, something that hurts worse or that makes them feel something other than the pain they are living with in their body. And so because I experienced that, I have this different level of compassion and empathy. I call it karuna compassion, because I held myself in a similar pain that other people are holding, and I've been there, and I held myself through that, so I can hold you through that as well. But I also realize what that looks like is a lot of projection people place on me. So I am meant to be the trigger in a lot of people's lives. When I create boundaries, it triggers people. When I tell them things they don't want to hear, a lot of times they will project that on me, but there's love behind it. And I believe most of the time people will eventually feel that love if they are meant to walk a similar path that I walk, and realize that I have fierce boundaries because I lived part of my life without any boundaries. I will tell you the hard things because it's the hard things people told me that pushed me to be a better person. You know, a lot of people at my grandfather's funeral, I said how much he helped me by looking at my hand one day and then looking in at me in my eyes and saying, "What happened to you? Even your hand is fat." And you know, that sounds horrid, right? But in that moment, from my grandfather, who always seen me as beautiful, to look at me and say, "What happened to you?" A lot of people think that's awful. To me, in that moment, that wasn't awful. It was the first moment that I thought, what did happen to me? See, people are submitting. Can you guys still see me? Marjorie, I'm getting things that's saying my live is restricted. I shouldn't have talked about the baneful herbs. Marjorie, can you see me? I'm assuming maybe they can't. I'm just getting these weird, I know you guys can't see them on your end, but I can see them on my end, and it's saying people are like reporting my live. That's why I've been asking people, like, if you follow me, please like go like follow, you know, like my stuff, comment on it, because like people are, yeah, they're being mean. But anyway, those moments, like, he didn't mean what happened to you, like, why are you fat? He's like, what happened to you that made this happen? And I was able to receive that from him. You know, I had gone to a therapist at one time, and the therapist said, "Well, we're first going to talk about your eating disorder." And I completely never went to him again because I was like, this guy's crazy. I don't have an eating disorder. I'm overweight. Like, I didn't even know what an eating disorder was. But it took my grandfather giving me that hard truth of like, what happened to you? And that's when I was like, actually, a lot of bad things happened to me. And that's what made me this way. And then those moments were life-changing. And so I realized that I too am meant to sometimes share those hard truths with people that kind of take their breath away and make them stop and look at themselves and say, wow, what did happen to me? You know, I know not everyone at the funeral, they probably thought I was talking bad about my grandfather, but actually that moment was life-changing for me because it gave me permission to connect the two. It allowed me to connect the two. And I do believe the more you heal, the less you need those coping mechanisms. So, anyway, do you guys have any other questions for me? Thank you for being here and following along. Like, some of those stories, they still make me emotional. I'm a Cancer sun, Pisces moon. Like, I am very emotionally, very emotionally sensitive person. So, you know, those stories, they still can make me tear up a bit, but you know, I've lived to see the other side, and there's still things I'm working with. And that's why I tell people, don't look at your healing journey as something you're going to complete, like a course. Like, I'm going to complete Harmony's Way of the Witch course for a year and a day, and I will be healed. It doesn't work that way. My Way of the Witch course, that's a year long, a year and a day, it takes a lifetime. You're just opening the doors with that course to your shadow work. It teaches you, gives you the tools you need and the foundation you need to continue healing. what books do I recommend? Silver Ravenwolf's book, To Ride a Silver Broomstick, is like a book I recommend to everybody that's a beginner witch. Or even someone that's like, I'm a Christian witch, because I believe that book gives a really great foundation. What other books do I love? To Ride a Silver Broomstick. I love all of, there's like Entering Hecate's Garden. I believe her name's Cindy Brennan. I love all of her books about Hecate, and because today's Hecate's feast, I'll mention those books because they have a lot of practices for Hecate there. They're amazing, and so much about healing because she's a psychologist, so I love that. I do a lot of study on depth psychology myself. I'm kind of this like, you know, I've had years and years of therapy, and I love to therapy myself. What is another book? Oh, The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. I love that book. When God Was a Woman. I try to give you guys like not too advanced of books I love, but all of Silver Ravenwolf's books I really love. Serial Dance by Starhawk. I've never read that one. Oh, Spiral Dance. Yes. I thought there was a different book called Serious Dance. It is called Spiral Dance. So every Sunday when I come live, I cast a circle when we hit 100K likes. And I try to be off my live. You know, I only go live for like 2.5 hours. So if you guys want me to cast that circle today, which is like a guided meditation, but we cast it in a way that is energetic. So anyone that says, yes, thank you, I accept, I receive, anything like that in the comments, you are receiving this circle casting for yourself. I cast it in a way that what it does is the circle remains open until you lay your head down to sleep, and then the circle is broken, but it allows for it's open, but it's never broken. And what that does is allows you to embody the wisdom that you took in from this circle casting, being in this protected space for this day. Really potent day to be a part of this. So if you want to be a part of that, please tap the live whenever, heart it up. So at 100K likes, we will cast that circle, and you'll just have to find a space that is comfortable. You can lie down. If you lie down, I want you to lie down on your back with your palms open, shoulders wide, not all curled up like this, because this circle casting needs all of these energetic chakra points to be straight and aligned. So you can also sit up tall like I'm sitting up right now, straight, and just close your eyes, uncross your legs, and leave your palms open. So if you want to be a part of this, yes, keep tapping the live and say, yes, thank you, I accept, I receive. I'm not sure what that was. You know, the new way that TikTok has gone since the US bought it, it's really confusing it's like, what is going on? Like, I have had some posts that they won't share anymore because it says, I forget. Anyway, it's just been really confusing because I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? And I think they're just honestly shadow banning people that they are empowering people or something. I'm not quite sure, because I do see other accounts that are empowering and they're still going. So I'm like, that's why I'm always like, am I allowed to say this word? I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say. That's why I have Marjorie actually blocking people now, because somebody told me that it's because people are reporting my account. So the more you like my videos, the more you even go to my page daily and rewatch them, hopefully it will help the algorithm throw things to you, because I'm not even seeing people's stuff that I follow. Like, I don't see Marjorie's stuff unless I go to her page. I don't see Stella's stuff unless I go to her page. So I do believe they're doing something. Not sure what it is, but I can even see the amount of people that are on the live since they sent me that thing saying the live was restricted, is the numbers going down. So somebody reported me somehow, but I don't honestly know. Maybe it was just me talking about the baneful herbs and I need to watch that. But I do think a lot of times it's the Christians. So we're almost to 100K likes. When we hit 100K likes, we are going to do the circle casting. So stay on here just for a few minutes and we will begin. I'm going to restart my music so it doesn't end while I'm doing that. I'm like walking over all these animals, dogs, cats in here on the floor. They're all surrounding me. Thank you, Marjorie. If you guys haven't followed Marjorie or Rebecca, I'm not sure if Rebecca's on here. Both of them are priestesses in my coven. Hi, Sarah. Sarah decided to come to Salem. And like I said, we only have one spot left for Salem, but Practical Magic Retreat is open, you guys. So if you want to come to Practical Magic next year, we have, like 10-month payment plans. Go sign up. Those spaces are already starting to sell. I'm so excited for next year. It's going to be amazing. Does it matter where I put my altar? This is something I have several altars, so I'm going to say just have an intent on where you're putting your altar. I know a lot of witches just have one altar. I have several altars in my home. In this room, I have 4. But each one is facing a direction for a certain reason. No more spots for Salem? Rebecca, someone must have purchased a spot while I was on the live, because as of this morning, there was one spot in the shared room open. Oh, I'm sorry if you wanted to come, Rebecca, and you missed it. Dang. 101.2. Is everyone ready to cast a circle? And Rebecca came to Practical Magic this year. I'm so glad she came to Practical Magic this year. I hope you can come to Practical Magic next year. Yay! If you want to be a part of the circle casting, again, it's a meditation. Type or say out loud, yes, thank you, accept, I claim, I receive, whatever it is you want to type to let the universe know that you're not just watching this, you are accepting this circle casting as yours as well as mine. So I'll invite you all to either lie down or sit up, close your eyes, uncross your legs, be in a nice, comfortable position. And we'll go ahead and start. And this is just, it's like guided meditation. I invite you, when I say bless us as we call your names, and I'll say one of the deities' names, and I just invite you to say their names out loud with us. And this also, reiterates that to your consciousness and to the energy that you are accepting and you are creating this circle around you as I am calling it forth. And it also keeps you awake because sometimes people will fall asleep during the meditation. And if you fall asleep, no, that's fine. If there's some sort of healing, something's going on during that time. But this speaking out loud helps you remain present with what we're doing so your mind doesn't wander. So if you're here for this circle casting, whether to be a part of it or just to watch and witness, I thank you. If you're just watching and witnessing, please keep tapping the hearts, and let's go ahead and close our eyes. So closing your eyes and just bringing your awareness to your physical body, noticing your feet by wiggling your toes, maybe moving your knees, shifting your hips or your waist, maybe circling your head or your neck, and just being aware that you have a physical body. Your palms are facing open to receive. Your spine is in a nice long straight line. And I want you to invite some softness into every part of your body here by using your breath. So together, let's seal our lips and slowly begin to inhale through the nose. Feeling the air move through your throat, feeling it move through your nostrils to your throat, expanding your lungs, expanding your diaphragm, feeling the belly pull in as you breathe in. Pull that air through your awareness into your legs, into your arms, to your fingertips, and all the way down to your toes. When you feel like you can't take in any more air, take in one more breath. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Soften your shoulders, part your lips, and audibly exhale. Let all of your body relax as you expel the breath from your body, using this press of your abdominal muscles to squeeze out any last drops of stagnant air. When your body's completely empty, pause and then seal your lips and take a deep inhale, a little faster this time, through the nose. Feel your whole body lift up with this breath. Hold at the top and then soften as you're holding. Soften the shoulders, soften the belly, soften the hips, the knees, the hands. Notice what it feels like to be full of air and take one more sip. One more sip. As much air as you can. One more sip. Part your lips. Let it all go. Again, using the press of the abdominal muscles, squeeze out all the stagnant air. And when you're empty, pause there. Notice what it feels like to be empty of the breath. Seal the lips. Slow, deep, conscious inhale through the nose. When you take in as much air as you can, just soften every part of your body like we did before. Noticing again, like we did before, what it feels like to be full. Just pausing here, full of breath. And when you feel ready, gently part the lips and audibly exhale. Reset your breath back to a nice, natural rhythm and pace. Inhaling and exhaling as I call forth concentric circles of light to surround us now. These unending circles of light moving from the north, south, east, and west in all directions, pulsating around you, colors of light. Becoming aware of your personal circle of light by becoming aware of the color without judging it or questioning it. Just notice it. Oh, my circle today is emerald green or sapphire blue, ruby red. Just that curiosity of, oh, here is a circle of light surrounding me now. Finding yourself in the center of these sacred circles of pulsating light. You sit in the center of the circle with your palms open, your heart expanding. It is dark all around you other than these circles of light. And this gentle glow of light that comes just a half an inch away from your body, your skin. So you find yourself here as light in the darkness. As I call forth the guardians of the watchtowers of the north, south, east, and west. Guardian of the north, keeper of earth, I call forth the elements and the spirits of earth to join us now. Keeper of the crossroads, mother of witches, keeper of the keys, who stands between the worlds, guiding us forward to be both here and there, waiting for us with her torch of light at the crossroads of our lives. These moments of change, these moments of decision, where we choose to walk right or left, forward or back. This deity, this goddess, she stands here with the earth element and spirits, holding the torch of light, reminding us that we are never alone. She is there in every moment of our life where a decision is to be made. It is in the darkness that she stands, as we, the witches, do as well, reminding humanity that as the world turns, so do we, and as the world is both light and dark, so are we. But we are never alone. When we are in the light, there is darkness, and when we are in the dark, there is light. Through the flap of wings of ravens and owls, through the howls of dogs, wolves, and serpents, this deity arrives today to help us clear and shed the old ways. As she shakes the earth, we too can shake our lives and change everything. She cracks our hearts open through the breaking of our heart, where the light comes through that she bears with her torch in hand. We honor you today and every day. Bless us as we call your name. Hecate, Hecate, Hecate. Guardian of the northwest, keeper of the rising sun and the sacred wells, keeper of the healing waters and the candlelight that beckons us forward at Imbolc. Bless us as we call your name. Brigid, Brigid, Brigid. Guardian of the east, keeper of air, I invoke the element and the spirits of air to join us now. She of 10,000 spells, she of 10,000 names, she who is the angel on earth, the extraordinary, otherworldly deity that has joined us on earth from the other planetary realms to remind us of who we are, of our connection to the stars. She awakens the angelic wings from the base of our spine, moving all the way up to the crown of our head and expanding wide around us. Just as the Kundalini rises, our angelic shape-shifting wings, otherworldly, extraterrestrially, opening wide around us. Wings that resemble white ostrich feathers expand from our spine as we awaken. Each area of power within our bodies. Bless us as we call your name. Isis, Isis, Isis. Guardian of the southeast, keeper of sovereignty, she who sings the songs of the goddess, the hymns of the mother, songs of the birds. She who embodies the power, the ferocity of the witch, the reminder of the voice as a spell-casting tool. When in your sovereign power, you stop for no one unless they call your name. So today we call your name. Bless us as we call your name. Rhiannon, Rhiannon, Rhiannon. God of the south, keeper of fire, I invoke the elements and the spirits of fire to join us now. Queen of the Fae, she who knows love is the way, we invite your embodiment of love, with the kiss of your lips that reminds us of the love that we are eternally, or the righteous rage that exists within the face of injustice, which, yes, is too a form of love. The grief and the sadness, the pain and the sorrow, all of this embodied within the love that we are, within this human body, the fire of our eternal spirit and our source is here to burn away darkness, but also to ignite the new growth that fire and love can bring. Just like the sadness and the grief and the anger break our hearts open, the fire burns away the darkness and clears the way for new growth to expand. Bless us as we call your name, Anya, Anya, Anya. Queen of the Southwest, keeper of mystery, she who has walked the elusive path, hiding in the shadows for centuries, for thousands of years, as the feminine has walked in the shadows, as the witch has walked in the shadows, as all of the oppressed on this planet archetypes and labels of human beings have. You represent this mystery and empowerment of these oppressed communities, of the witch, and of all of them. She who embodies who she is, regardless of what humanity labels her as. She shows us the power of continuing to rise again, to be hiding in the shadows until it is time. And now is the time. As she is awakened, so is the feminine, so are all of the oppressed communities, to shout their mysteries into the world of darkness, into the consciousness of humanity, to bring light through the mysteries, evolution, through this wisdom. Bless us as we call your name, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene. Guardian of the West, keeper of the sacred waters, I invoke the element and the spirit of water to join us now. Keeper of the space in which we sit now, with ruler of the sky, keeper of the mantle of light, you arrive with the moon in all her phases of dark and lightness. The water comes forward to immerse us in our emotions, to allow us to know what is informing the way we think. You show us the alchemy that can happen through the embodiment of pure water. Keeper of the cauldron, this cauldron that you have passed throughout the ages. The wisdom of the alchemy that is held within the chalice of our womb space and the chalice that rests upon our altar, by adding the water to the earth, the fire to the water, the earth to the water, the air from the fire and the water, the air, the way the fire breathes, the air, the steam that moves from the water when the sun pours upon it, the alchemy that the water has, our bodies have as well. Bless us with these alchemical abilities to alchemize our lives, to be the magic in our lives, to not fear change, but to be the change as the moon goes from darkness to fullness. Being afraid to be different, to believe different, to think different, to feel different in any given moment. Deity, Goddess, bless us as we call your name, Caradwin, Caradwin, Caradwin. Guardian of the Northwest, weaver of our sacred circle, queen of witches, she who is the bridge between the heavens and our source and us here on the earth, feeding the channel of our physical vessels through an open crown, bridging heaven and earth with the wisdom we need to face the challenges on this earth, weaving our sacred circle sealed on this day and every day. Bless us, Queen of Witches, as we call your name, Aradia, Aradia, Aradia. From beneath us, we call forth our loving Earth Mother, who supports us endlessly, unconditionally providing life for us, regardless of how we treat her. It is through her boundaries and through her continuous love and nurturing of our physical bodies that allows us life. We are a mirror of you, Mother. We call you forth to teach us to walk with you in a good way, to walk as a human on this planet in a good way. We call forth the ancestors who walked the earth, where each of us who are in this circle casting today walked before us. We honor those ancestors that walked the earth, the indigenous of every sacred ancient land that walk with us in a good way. We call forth the ancestors of each of our bloodlines into our sovereign sacred circles that walk with us in a good way. We call forth the Fae, the elementals, and the gnomes, the protectors of our loving Earth Mother. And from above us, we call forth the star brothers and sisters, the planets, the star seeds come from. Call forth the original home of our souls from all around us, in not a place called heaven, but of the place called the stars, the planetary alignments, the planetary systems, the planets that were the homes to our souls before we chose to come to earth here, this sacred earth school, to dwell, to learn the harder lessons. Realizing we are here because we chose to be, because we are strong enough to be. The change, the shift that this planet and our society needs now. Bringing our hands to heart center, left hand on your heart, right hand over it, as we call forth first the child within us, bringing your inner gaze like like you're going cross-eyed, looking at your nose and bringing all of your awareness to the deepest part of your heart, where you've pushed the child within you. And with our eyes crossed as they're closed, we awaken the third eye so we can see the tunnel that goes from where the child is pushed in the back of your heart to the front of your heart, where the cracks and the pains and the traumas have broken your heart open. The child within you walks this path to the front of your heart and arrives here now, right in front of you, looking straight in your eyes. As you look into your own eyes, you accept the inner child within you as an important, essential aspect of your wholeness. The magic, the remembrance of your path, of your divine, inherent innocence and wisdom exist within this aspect of you. So we call them forth and ask them to look into our eyes and remain here as the light that shines through the cracks of our heart. Seeing the sparkle in our own child self's eyes, we reach out and become one. And as we do so, we call forth the I Am presence and the higher self presence, the oversoul of every person who is taking part in this sacred circle casting today on Dipnan. We call forth this aspect of each of us sovereignly in our own sacred circles that we cast now. And as we do so, we lift these sovereign sacred circles up, up, up to the 7th and 8th plane of consciousness, where divine knowing and miracles take place, so that the wisdom may flow through each and every one of us on what needs to go and what needs to stay, what parts of our lives that need to be blown up and broken, so that the light can shine through and our sacred path and mission can more freely flow. We ask that this sacred level of consciousness and circle that we have cast around us remain open until we lie our heads down to sleep tonight. The circle will remain sealed as we lie our heads down to sleep tonight, when the circle will open but never be broken. For the embodiment of the wisdom that we took in, being in this sacred circle for this period of time, will happen through the unending, pulsating energy of light that moves through a thread that connects us as one. This circle is now sealed. As above, so below, as within, so without. This circle is sealed. It is done, it is done, it is done, and so it is. Blessed be. Taking in a deep breath and letting it go through the nose. Taking in another deep breath and letting it out through the nose again. One more time, deep inhale through the nose, lips are sealed. Biggest inhale of the day, waking your body up, deep, deep breath. Take in more air, more air, more air. And as you exhale, part your lips, audibly exhale and blink your eyes open. Finding yourself back here now in this time, in space, back on TikTok. Thank you all for being here and joining me in this circle casting. I feel alive. I feel so good today, like I have not felt in so long. So thank you for being here with me, for giving me someone to talk to, an audience to share my heart with, to share what comes through my channel with. Thank you for my moderators for so fiercely protecting me, Marjorie and Rebecca, and any others on here that I might not have seen. Share with me, please, what are the colors of light you've seen? Were there any epiphanies that came through this circle casting? Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the love. Big hugs to all of you. Oh, I love that you've seen red, ruby red. Blessed be Jillian, yellow. It's like the sun, the only God I know. Light purple, another purple, green, red, and yellow, purple, green, purple, gold. Thank you for sharing, you guys. Crying release, beautiful. Red, turquoise. Thank you for the gifts. Another purple. I opened my eyes for a second. Oh, I missed it. Green. Ciao, sister. Thank you for all being here. Even though I was gone for almost a month, you guys, thank you for being here, crying, meeting your inner child. That's so beautiful. I love it. Sammy, what is your power? I am a witch. That is my power. Shapes, diamonds, triangles, white. I love it. Sarah Jane, hi again. I see you on here. Popping through every now and then. Aurora lights, that's so beautiful. Well, I hope that you all, if you honor Hecate, will meet her at the crossroads, do some type of cleansing tonight, honoring Hecate, the one that reminds us we are never alone. And I think we need that reminder more than ever right now in our world, because there's a lot that can invoke that rage and that sadness. And, you know, righteous rage is what we are talking about when we talk about that type of rage and anger. That is a catalyst. It's like the fire that pushes you forward to find your purpose, to in your pain. That is what we're talking about. We have to feel the rage and the grief of the things that happened to us in our past, to be able to burn it away, to let it go. And that's what forgiveness is. It's letting go. It has nothing to do with the perpetrator. It's letting go of those feelings that bind us, that restrict us, that we're pushing down. Because to survive whatever it is we survived, we denied ourselves grief. We denied ourselves anger. And so as adults, we have to allow for the healing of this inner child to express those feelings, but also to not get stuck in them, and to use tools to move them in a direction that will help ultimately the entire collective of us, because we are all part of the same thread. Humanity is part of the same thread. And so the more we can focus on ourselves while being aware and having all our feelings about the injustices in the world, you know, that is how we heal. That is how we change something. We're not just one person. We are all a part of the same thread. And so the more of us that change, the more our government will change, the religions will change, the people will change, the cruelty will change. Anyway, I thank you all for being here with me. I come live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Arizona time and cast a circle. I would love for you to join me next week. If you haven't followed me, please go follow me. If you do follow me, please go comment, like my videos and stuff, because as you can see, I almost got shut down in the middle of this, or they don't show you, I just get a big box in the middle of my screen that's like, your live is restricted for 10 minutes due to people reporting you and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, thank you for following along. Thank you for helping get my message out there in the world. We have spaces left for Practical Magic Retreat next year. The link is in my bio. Go check it out, or go to mysticwitch.com. If you want my moon necklace or my dress, you can get it at Killstar. Just make sure you tell them I sent you, so that hopefully they'll give my community a discount or something. But thank you for being here. I have a witch school you guys can check out. And I teach witches some foundational aspects of the craft so we can keep the craft alive in a good way. And I do need water, Marjorie. If you guys haven't followed my mods, Marjorie and Rebecca, they're amazing. If you want to join our coven, we have a private Wix app group where everyone stays in touch, and you get access to our live Zoom gatherings for all of the Sabbats, and you get access to all of the classes in the library. So anyway, I am here every Sunday. I hope I'll see you next Sunday. Thank you for following along on my journey. Thank you to all of you who stayed here the entire time. And again, thank you to my mods and my coven for being here. I love you all so much, all of my community. Anyone, you know, I hate that we call our communities followers. I wish they said community rather than follower. But thank you for being a part of my community. So much love for all of you. I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be. And I'll see you next Sunday. Why is that not working? Blessed be. So much love.